Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Viewers, comments and questions live. Dan here.
Mick here, hello.
Hope you're all wonderful today. Hope you all had a great weekend. We had a great weekend. It was very nice. And yeah, there we go. So here we go. Monday. Hurrah!
Separate weekends. Hello everyone, welcome to viewer comments and questions.
Yeah, we should specify that.
Yeah.
Separate weekends.
Yeah. I know it seems like we're married, Dan and I. And we are in a way, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, there's a bit more
1, 2,
light
3,
on the
4,
subject.
5, 6, 7, 8.
9, 10, 11, 12.
I loved that show.
For those of you interested in Sesame Strasse, as it was called in Germany.
Sesame Strasse.
I just made it up.
That's very good.
Sesame
Sesame
Strasse.
Kind of has a different ring in German.
Guten Abend und willkommen auf der
Sesame
Sesame
Strasse.
Strasse.
Schnell, schnell, Krankenwagen.
Auf der Bird Großer. Sorry, I don't know what the German word for bird is.
Und großen Burden.
Kermit das Frog. Anyway, sorry, it's often like this. Welcome to That Pedal Show. I sincerely hope you can hear us. If you can't, well, that would be just like That Pedal Show, wouldn't it?
That's funny.
Any indication if they can hear us, Dan?
I'll tell you post-haste forthwith.
Yeah, I don't know why we don't do this before we get on the air, really, but again, welcome to That Pedal Show.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Excellent.
There we go.
There's an ad for the Surrey electronic toothbrush.
Oh.
Yeah, Catherine bought one. It's very good.
I need a new one, so I might check
It's
that
really
out.
good. Surrey. It's very good. Okay. So we say hello to Todd Roy. Hi, Todd. Actually, I am just going to turn the super chats off because we've got sufficient. In fact, we probably have too many. So we'll get through all the super chats. If you've super chatted to this point, we will answer you. If you have not, they're going off now. So
there we go.
we say thank you to BV.
Always thank you to BV.
For being among us and helping out. Thank you, BV. It's a big deal that you do this for us. Thank you very much. And we say thank you to everyone joining us, of which Todd Roy, Rick Appleby in Ireland,
Moon.
Scott Rainsford on in New Zealand,
Lovely. Mike O'Donnell from Kent.
Matt Scott from New Orleans. How cool.
Lovely.
Asking if we can have Barry Cadigan on the show. Yeah, that would be groovy, actually.
Nice. I had a couple of requests over the weekend to have Henning on.
Paulie?
Henning Paulie.
Why not?
It'd be great.
If you find yourself in the UK,
Henning,
Mr. Paulie,
if
you're
you
welcome.
absolutely, we'd love to see you. It'd be really great. We did one video with Henning. We did one video with Henning, and
the Tonewood Challenge.
Oh man,
If you haven't seen it, please watch it.
That's so funny.
Zootalure saying summer is here on Long Island. Yeah, it's
Lovely.
It's almost here.
It's trying.
It's warmer.
Yeah.
James Blest is on from Glasgow. John 777, Leyland Berg, Todd Roy, Paul Matulovic, David Clark from Belfast, Maine. Hi, David.
Scott Cameron, greetings from Rhode Island, and Scott from Baltimore.
On the streets of Baltimore. Perilous Temple is on.
Beautiful. Mark Sieber, Seth Rowe, Ian Boggle.
Mark Rothstein or Rostein from Philly. What up, gang? Says the Weekend Warrior. Indeed.
Very nice.
Okay.
John Channing says, it's a glorious day in London and gets better with Mick, Dan and the VCQ.
Oh, bless you.
The VCQ massive. Very good.
Okay, let's get into the old super chats then. First in this week would be Airfire. Ed, hello mate.
G'day mate, hope you're awesome.
A little bit of sad news from Ed. He says, extra treats, walks, pets for TPS dogs this week as we celebrate the life of my partner's dog Ruby.
Ah.
Always found with stolen Greg's sandwiches, fudge or undergarments in her mouth, full of joy as she crosses the Rainbow Bridge.
Oh, bless her.
Oh. all the best to you guys, Ed, and to Ruby as well. Yeah.
We don't get them for long.
I love the sentiment of your comment, though. It's very much celebrating their life.
Yeah.
Because they give us so much, don't they?
Oh, man.
You may guess that Dad and I are dog people.
Yeah.
Animal people. Animal people.
Yeah.
Next up is Joel Silber.
How do dogs know to look you in the eye? I think that's amazing.
Right.
They just know to look you in the eye instead of looking at your elbow. Is that you? No, they go, oh, there you are.
Yeah. If there's any PhD students on or anyone else that's done the research, let us know. I rather suspect it's something to do with face, is it?
Maybe.
Because that's where the noise comes from or something.
Okay.
I don't know. That would be my guess.
But they don't look at your mouth. They look at your eye.
Yeah.
Like my dog, Ziggy jumps on the bed every morning and his face is right here. Okay, Dad, are you awake yet?
You should be. Joel Silber says, I'm able to watch VCQ live today. Just discovered that a warm drive, which I guess is from Warm Audio, can sound just like a TS-808 pushing a past effects TDY.
Tube driver, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Killer with my Gilmorized 50 Strat. No question today. Please take one from the chat.
Oh,
we
lovely.
will do that, Joel. With grateful thank yous. Right, we're going to find a question in the chat here. And that will come from... Come on, there's got to be one. There's got to be...
Early on, everyone's saying hi, which is wonderful.
Yeah. Johnny Moondog will answer you quickly and then we'll do another one. He says, have you tried a 12 AU7 in your Butler tube drive? I have not. I keep meaning to do things like that, but it never happens.
Sure.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind trying it, given that I assume there's a 12 AX7 in it at the moment. I run the gain super low, so an AU might make more sense maybe to run the gain a bit higher, a bit more harmonics maybe. I don't know. I like the way it sounds at the moment, so I don't feel the need to change it, if that makes sense.
Oh, John Smith says, how did you two meet?
Oh, there we go. Let's go with that then, John Smith.
Found him on an app.
Yeah.
No. We were... My first... when I first got to the UK and started the gig rig, our first product came out in 2004. And while I was here, the couple of years while we were developing, I'd been reading this magazine called Guitar Buyer. And of all the magazines that I was reading, it's the one that I thought might actually get what we were trying to do. I really liked it. I really liked I thought the reporting and the interviews and stuff was fantastic. And Mick was the editor of Guitar Buyer.
That was when I was in the wilderness.
Yeah.
In between my guitarist stints at that
It
point.
was 20 years ago, so we'd known each other for 20 years.
Yeah. And that was it. That's how we met. Dan sent me a suitcase full of money to say his product was good. That's just for the record, that's not what happened.
Very beautiful.
There's Rosie. Hello, Rosie. To the grumpiest who said, please put the dog in its kennel last week.
No.
Swear words in your direction. Yeah, no, Rosie's part of the family.
She sure is.
Yeah, that's how we met.
Yep.
And we've maintained an average friendship ever since.
But how's this though? Next year will be TPS's 10th anniversary. Can you believe that?
Well, look how much we've aged is all I'm going to say.
The years have been brutal.
Yeah. We've got a bright future behind us. Plexico, hello Duncan.
Ah, man, that's funny.
Plexico, Duncan says, hi DNM, will you folks be getting the Boonar tube delay? Anxious to hear your thoughts. Peace. Didn't know they'd done one. Yes, please.
Yeah, great.
That'd be ace. That would be really good. I don't know anyone at Dawn of Prince. Do you know anyone at Dawn of Prince?
I have a contact there.
Yeah. I wonder if they might be slightly grumpy with us because I always moan about the phase shift on the phase
I think they do it
reversal
because
on
it's
the
true
Boonar.
to the
They
original.
all the Ecorec types do it, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
So and maybe there was a couple of their products we didn't really understand, but it would be great, and we would love to do it if it's got valves in it. I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joe Halliday from Hello Sailor.
Hello, mate.
Joe. He says, hey guys, I loved the Reverb show. Now I need something with a short tank. Speaking of new stuff, Stu over at Sunbear Pickups has made you both pickups. Please get in touch with him. You won't be disappointed.
Oh, lovely.
I know lots of people who say very good things about Sunbear Pickups.
Awesome.
P90s especially.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but also Ainsley's running some of his Strat pickups at the moment.
Yeah.
Our friend Simon's got some humbuckers, I think, and some P90s. So yeah, cool. Right, do you want to go out there, Rosie? Is that what you want to do? It's not very interesting, but you can go anyway.
Yeah. Bless her. Yeah, because it's such a beautiful day, so we've sort of opened up outside a little space for Rosie to go and run out and sun herself.
Yes.
Lovely.
G Barge. Hello, G.
G'day, mate.
Hello, G. G says, howdy, boys. New Guitars Week in Nashville. G's in Nashville. George Grun, Versitar.
Those Grun guitars, I've never played one, but they look amazing.
I'm ignorant to
They
such
look
a
really
thing.
lovely. Really lovely.
Versitar in Black Locust and a 1958 reissue Murphy Lab 335 in Butterscotch. George is a national treasure. The Versitar. Am I getting that right? Versitar is brilliant and very reasonable. Nice. Congrats, G. It's always good to get new machines, isn't it?
Indeed.
Liking the sound of your 335 as well. We have a 335 fan coming in tomorrow, of course.
Oh, we do.
Mr. Warren Haynes is coming in, which is why this finery is set behind us.
Yeah.
Not his usual amp rig. We did have a Soldano. We'll explain it all in due course, but
Didn't happen.
We now don't have a Soldano, so we're going to set up the 1974 Super Bass with a little overdrive in the front of it to do that job, and we think Mr. Haynes is going to like it.
Sounds pretty righteous.
Yeah. And we've made him a pedal board of sorts, comprising some of his classic hits.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that should be fun. Enjoy Nashville, G. Hope you're having fun. Rodrigo Gaspari is on, and he says, leg ends. Do you change the key of songs to fit the singer? If so, how do you find the right key? Cheers and much love from Porto Alegre, Brazil.
The only thing I've ever done is tune to E flat as standard. Doing, especially in Australia, I mean, none of this 245 stuff. It was like,
3 1 hours.
We'd do 5 sets.
Wow!
We'd have gigs that would start at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Jeez.
It was like proper Aussie rules, it was called. And by the end of the night, several bevies in.
Yeah.
But so we'd drop everything down at E flat, just make it a little bit easier. And we'd do the same thing when we got here. But apart from that, we would learn the keys in the original song and just drop it down to E flat, because it's a different. I've heard singers like there's a couple of singers from the 80s that go out and do their tunes dropped by a fifth.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? It's
like
it just
a tone
sounds.
you can sort of get away with.
It sounds so wrong.
Yeah, I think it's all right if you, let's say you're doing a classic male vocal love song or something, a classic male vocal song, and your singer is female, and the register of her voice is completely different, and you want to do a different take on it. That makes sense to change the key at that point, because then it feels different. But
if you're doing a different arrangement,
Yeah.
and make it your own thing, absolutely.
absolutely. But yeah, changing the key, so that's one side of it. It'll just sound weird. The other side of it is, we did it in the TPS band actually. So one of the songs we did was Run to You by Brian Adams, which is in F sharp. And Brian, because he is such an incredibly amazing vocalist and has that beautiful
Yes.
high register, it's in F sharp. And the reason I put the capo on is because it requires open strings to play the riff correctly, right? So if you change that key, you need to make sure the open strings are in the riff. What do? Swap it to E, because it's me singing it. And you can just sort of get away with that. Similarly, one of the songs we're doing in the Mick Taylor Blues Implosion on the 18th of July at the Tane Jazz and Blues venue, details online. is Mama Can't Help You by Doyle. And Doyle Bramwell, he tunes to E flat, but because it's in F sharp, and then the chorus modulates to D, and then to A. And you have to be able to play the open D because it's the right chord. So if my point is, if your song is in A and you're just playing bar chords, no problem to change it to B flat. I'm walking on sunshine. It sounded like it was in B flat. I don't know if it is or not. Not the vocal, I might add. So sometimes you can get away with it, but if the guitar part, and remember we're only worried about the guitar part because we're guitar players, requires open strings, you must either use a capo or retune your guitar. Sorry, that was way too confusing, wasn't it?
No, definitely not. It's valuable.
Yeah,
very good.
You can't go, and I've heard it done. So you can't do that.
No, you can't.
You have to play.
Yeah, absolutely. So
or even in A.
I've got two very quick stories.
It has to be that before we get copyright struck.
I was doing an arrangement I was playing acoustic guitar for this this girl singer. It's really great. But on this particular, I was doing a version of I Can't Make You Love Me.
Oh, Nolling.
Yeah.
Nolling, 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 Nolling. Begging of you, please don't take my ute. That's the Australian version.
Oh boy. But no, I'd worked out this version. It's a Bonnie Raitt. Song made famous by Bonnie Raitt. Absolutely one of my favourite songs ever. And I've worked out this really lovely like a chord arrangement for it. But on the day she's like, "Oh, can we drop it down a tone?" And it's like, "Oh no." And I thought, "Yeah, come on, you can do this." I couldn't do it. It was so I made a complete ass of myself.
Arse of it.
But the other thing, I used to look after the bands that used to play the walkabout pubs. One of my jobs when I got to London, and worked for the agency. And there was this band. They were really good, but they were doing "I Believe in a Thing Called Love," Darkness.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And it was. And the singer couldn't hit it. So he got his whammy and just goes down a major third. And it was...
With all the digital artifacts.
And all, it was like awful. And he came at the end and goes, "Sounded pretty good, yeah?" And I'm like, no. It sounded terrible. So don't do that. Don't change the key of something with your whammy pedal. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Maybe the new ones are better at it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so play the right chords in the right register is what we would urge everyone to do. Unless, of course, which is perfectly reasonable to do with a cover, is do a new arrangement and a different version.
Yeah.
As long as your audience won't walk out, which is likely.
Yeah, but there's some lots of people doing lots of beautiful versions of tunes. And when you're doing your own version, do you do in the key that works for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Michael Giliberto. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Michael says, "Greetings. Been playing a year." Oh, no. That was the next one. Sorry. Michael Giliberto says, "Greetings, fellow bipeds." Bipedals.
Very good.
5-Watt Keith posted recently on Fender Brown panel amps. "Have you played any? Thoughts? I have a 63 Vibrolux in storage that needs to get some playtime. Happy summer." Well, lucky you with your 63 Vibrolux. That is a very, very beautiful thing. We like them. Particularly the 60-61 concerts and supers with the harmonic tremolo. I mean, that's just like this little slice of Fender amp history that is pure magic. So yeah,
because they weren't long-lived, right? Only for the brief thing.
And again, sorry, we've tried not to repeat this story too much, but if you look at Fender amps from the Tweeds through to, let's say, you know, late 60s silver panel, it wasn't like they were sort of going, right, we need to have a family of amps that's this and then that, which is how we see them now. It was more a sort of general transition that happened cosmetically and electronically, so the changes didn't all happen at once. So maybe you might find, you know, a later amp that looks the same with very different electronics and vice versa, blah, blah, blah. So there are some real gems in there, and getting to play them these days is really tough because most of them have been modified. The caps are all over the place. So we don't really know, unless you find a really beautifully clean example. But yeah, man, I don't know. Having had the vintage guitar bug now for a while, we had a really interesting conversation with Dave Gregory. He came in and we did a show on Firebirds. And it was just a fascinating conversation. I'm kind of starting to have it with vintage amps as well.
Yeah.
There's just something about them.
I know.
That thing sounds
Oh, it's silly.
epic.
It's so silly.
It's so harmonically rich.
Yeah. Even quietly.
Yeah. Well,
It's, you know, I mean, you don't have to explore it, but even at quiet volume, I'm just like, well, there's, it shouldn't sound that good at quiet.
No.
It just does.
it doesn't really do quiet. They just...
No, that's true. That's true.
Anyway, sorry, digress.
There you go. Kevin the Just says, hey, Dan, did you ever play at the Walkabout on the Embankment in London? Yes, that's Temple. And I've played there. I played the opening of that gig, and I played there at least twice a month for the entire time it was open. Did multiple New Year's Eves there. It was a great gig. Did every Australia Day there. Australia Day at Temple, man. That was just, I could tell you a story or two. Yeah, it's really great. Yeah, it's really funny actually. Those gigs, there's like 10 years of the most amazing gigs. So there was the Redback in Acton and all the Walkabouts, and it was loud. They wanted, because the crowd was so loud, you had to go on and be loud and match the crowd and match the DJ who was loud.
Yeah.
And you had to hit the stage, no warm up, you had to hit and go.
Go, yeah.
And the level of bands was fantastic, proper, you know, no one was apologising for being on stage. No, it was really great. There was a really great era in London.
Jason Sears has a comment on the dog face tracking
Oh, okay.
thing. He says, we co-evolved
Yes, we did.
with more cooperative wolves who picked up our scraps and sometimes hunted with us. We bred them to be more and more friendly, and that process involved tracking facial expressions.
Wow.
Nice. Sounds plausible.
that.
Sounds
Yeah.
plausible.
Yeah. Well, they're saying that dogs are the only other animal that releases. There's a hormone that dogs and humans have,
Right, serotonin.
serotonin, which is like an emotional thing.
Yeah.
So dogs get
Yeah,
emotional.
they have it.
You know, very interesting.
Cole Bender. Hello, Cole. He says, I've been playing for a year. When I hear people
like, he's the man with the cold. Anyway,
with the sooty touch. I'm trying to think of coal analogies.
okay. That was really good. Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Do you remember? I don't know if you did in Australia. Did you have a coal man who came around with a lorry and delivered coal?
Potato Man.
What time is it, John? It's orange time. Here's the orange man. Actually, that's a bad Irish example. That's terrible. As are potatoes.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Would you like a spade? We could probably use one at this point. Anyway, Cole Bender. Hello, Cole. He says, that was like a, ooh, ah! He says, I've been playing a year. When I hear people like Chris Buck play, I almost want to throw my guitar into the river. How do you stay inspired without comparison or perfectionism killing your joy?
It's a really good question. I did a video on this a few years ago. And it just comes down to just do it because you love it. We've got this thing. There's a level of analysis of your playing that helps you improve. It's like when you record yourself, it's like, oh, okay, I can improve that, I can blah, blah, blah. But that thing when you see someone who... I remember having a conversation with at Kempster's Music, when Simon Law was there, working as a young man, and then this 13-year-old kid walks in and picks up a guitar and just plays a D chord, and everyone just went, he's got it.
That was Matt Schofield.
Matt Schofield, right? Some people just pick up an instrument and they've got it, right? That was not me.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'm just going to do what I can do with what I've got. And, I'm 52 now, and I'm still playing, like, if I rounded it up, it would be every day. So I was, 99% of days I'm playing every day. But I'm not playing to get better, to prove a point. I'm just playing because I absolutely love to play guitar. It's my favorite thing in the world. And if you do it because you enjoy it, and you want to get, it's wanting to get better at the instrument and be able to express yourself a bit better, and that's a wonderful thing. But the passion of the enjoyment of these amazing things that we have to make music with, just let that be the driver, as opposed to comparing yourself to someone, because Chris Buck compares himself to people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
We talked about that a lot when he came in. He still feels exactly the way you feel.
Yeah,
which is bizarre.
Yeah, but it's like, how could you possibly?
Yeah,
but then
I was watching as a bit of prep for tomorrow's interview with Warren Haynes. I watched the interview with Rick Beato. He talks about exactly the same thing.
Yep.
He says, he's got three things: his singing, his guitar playing, and his songwriting. And at any one point, he's going to be feeling bad about one of them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
If I might offer some other perspective, I'll say two things as briefly as I possibly can. One is, when you look at Chris and you see how amazing he is, you're focusing on the goal, right? You're saying, I want to be that good. Stop doing that. Focus on the process. So instead of going, I want to be that good and it's my goal to be that good, focus on, I'm going to do this today, and do it every day. And focus on your system and your process, and you will, by sheer logic and practice and doing it every day, you will improve.
Yeah.
So make your focus what you're doing right now, not some unattainable goal. Unattainable goals are not good for anything. Secondly, the process of that is understanding the difference between inferiority and an inferiority complex, right?
Yeah.
We are required to be inferior as we evolve as humans. When you're 2 years old, you can't speak very well, and maybe when you're 1 year old, you can't speak very well and you can't walk very well. You're inferior to people who can speak better than who can walk, and your job is to get better. Mm. And you do that by practice, by learning, by watching. Mm-hmm. What you don't do as a 1 year old baby is feel bad about not being able to talk or walk very well. You might cry and get frustrated, but what we do as adults is it then becomes an inferiority complex. Mm-hmm. We feel bad about being inferior rather than just being inferior and getting better. And that becomes the focus, feeling bad about feeling bad. That's self-obsession. That's not really where you want to be.
Yeah,
so try and... You don't need to feel bad about not being as good as Chris Buck. Mm. You just need to focus on what you're doing today.
Yeah.
And be yourself. I know it's such a cliche to say it, but if you allow yourself to be yourself, you can be happy with that.
Yeah. We did a great video with Tim Lurch a little while ago, and he goes into this. Tim's a wonderful educator. The other thing I'm going to say, and this is something that I needed to hear a little while ago, because I went through a period of feeling bad about my playing, but then I had to have an honest conversation with myself. Like, what are you doing about it? If you really want to get better, are you investing time into getting better, or are you just sitting around going, I've been playing so long, I'm not very good? And in actual fact, when I looked at what I was doing with my practice, I wasn't practicing, I was just mucking around, which is great. But there does come a thing of when you want to get better, and especially if you've been playing a year, it's all discovery. But you'll find you hit these plateaus, and sometimes it takes a push to get to the next plateau, and that you will find that all throughout your life.
Yeah.
But I did have to have an honest conversation with myself because I wanted to get better at jazz. It's like I'm not listening to jazz. I'm not playing jazz. I'm just trying to play tricky blues licks, and which isn't it's not my thing. So, I had to invest some time in, and I'm starting to see results. But yeah, think about where you want to be, the stuff, the music that you listen to, what do you want to be able to play, and then go on that journey and enjoy the journey.
Yeah, and it is tough though. We're making it sound like it's easy. We both feel like it all the time.
Oh, all the time.
And it's part of wanting to be better, isn't it?
Yeah.
But focusing on doing the work to be better than spending your brain time on wishing you were better. That's the way to do it. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck,
Good
mate.
luck. We all feel
Keep
like
going.
it. We all feel like it. Seth Rowe. Hello, Seth. He says, it took time for me to connect to Jeff Buckley's Grace album. What are artists or albums that you learn to appreciate over time rather than love at first listen?
Oh, interesting. It took me a little while to get into Simon and Garfunkel, but now literally my favourite song in the world is America. And going back to those old recordings and hearing what they were able to put on tape. And there's a documentary about the writing and recording of Bridge Over Troubled Water, and it is flippin' amazing. But, a friend of mine was into him to start off with. Wasn't into Hendrix, I wasn't into. But later on in life, I'm like, oh, that's incredible.
Hendrix is the big one for me.
Yeah.
Took Mike McCready of Pearl Jam and Stevie Ray Vaughan to really make Hendrix click for me.
Wow.
And then another few years of listening after that.
Yeah.
Didn't get it at all to begin with.
But it is interesting that as you continue along the journey, your tastes do change. Things do mature. I studied jazz, but I never listened to it because I didn't like it. But then I hear Pat Martino, and all of that harmony that I'd learned just sort of clicked. And after that, Pat was my way into jazz.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll find a door with something else, and it'll open up your eyes. I mean, I remember hearing, I wasn't into the first, was it, I'm just trying to think, the first Radiohead album, it was Pablo Honey. I heard that and I'm like, I'm not really sure. But then I heard OK Computer, and that changed everything for me. And then going back and hearing the other albums, it's like, oh, I see. And,
There are artists I shall not mention who one record will be without doubt among my favourite records of all time, and I don't like any of the rest of their stuff at all. That's weird, isn't it?
Yep. Oh, for sure.
Slightly weird. The genre for me is 80s music, I think, because I grew up, I was born in 1974, and by the time the early 80s had come around, even though I would only have been 8 to 10 years old, I liked rock music. I liked AC/DC and Quo and Sabbath and stuff like that because my older friends liked it. And I thought all the pop music of the time was just dreadful.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff through the 80s. And that spilled over into like the, I don't know, like the Scottish bands like Big Country and Delamitri and some of the bands which when I listen to now, it's just so unbelievably post-Beatles.
Yeah.
It's the genesis of songwriting in that chromatic, diatonic way. And equally, like the huge pop acts of the 80s, Madonna, Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah. Cyndi Lauper, man. Whitney Houston.
Just fantastic songs. Amazing verses and choruses, unbelievable middle eights, you know.
Yeah.
But there was something about the production of it that didn't
Yeah.
really jive at the time because it was, you know, sounded plastic to me
Sure.
compared to a Marshall. So it's that, I think, going back. Who else am I thinking of? Like bands like Prefab Sprout. Just, and perhaps the common denominator is perhaps what I learned to appreciate more as time has gone on.
Sure.
Is songwriting.
So Gordon Rankin makes a good point. He says, I was never a fan of the Allman Brothers. Then I saw them play for 3.5 hours and then became a fan. I had the same experience with Bruce Springsteen. I was never into his stuff. Didn't get it. And then an old mate was his stag do, and we went to a Bruce Springsteen concert. And I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, it's part of the weekend. I'll go and do it. I stood next to the sound desk, and he played like 3+ hours. I forget exactly how long. It felt like 15 minutes. And I was enthralled. No big light show.
Yeah.
No big production. It was Bruce and a rock and roll band. And
awesome.
they played their hearts out. And it was astonishing. And I left that gig and suddenly all of the albums made sense. It was like, oh, okay. All of the albums, they're just like live things recorded. You know, and it, yeah. So sometimes doors open into these other things, and it might be seeing them live. It might be another artist that you hear influences and stuff, you know, whatever. But yeah, that the Bruce Springsteen thing was amazing. And then at the end, so it was at Wembley, sold out Wembley, like, you know, 50,000, whatever that holds. And at the end, he played Thunder Road, which is just him and an acoustic guitar. Seriously, man, you could have heard a pin drop. It was astonishing. And it was emotional for everyone. He just grabbed everyone and says, right, you guys are all coming with me for the next 3.5 hours.
It's a story, isn't it?
Amazing.
Oh, but Jeff Buckley's Grace, Seth, we're glad you got it in the end. It is
Pivotal.
both definitely within mine and Dan's top 5 records of all time ever.
Indeed. Yep.
Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ian Jeffrey, hello Ian. If my Avon Les Paul was in Star Wars, it would be Han Solo. You think it's a con, actually a gem. What about your guitars? Stormtroopers are PRSs, well engineered, but always inexplicably miss the mark. Oh God, well.
But that's flippin' brilliant.
Okay, so you got to pick a couple of guitars and say which characters they are.
Okay.
Red is definitely Luke Skywalker. I mean, it just has to be, doesn't it?
Yeah. Bit of attitude, a bit young.
Sorry, I put
no,
words into your
it's
mouth.
absolutely. But has a powerful weapon. Doesn't really know how to use it, you know. Definitely. Yeah, so that's that. Okay.
Any others?
Yeah. I would say. So the 65, this is Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Right. The guitar that Red wants to be.
Yeah.
Never will be, but has something else.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
This is the Death Star.
I was going to say that's Princess Leia.
Same thing.
It's really sexy,
Right.
but quite unpredictable.
Yeah. And
And you can't keep it in tune.
that's right.
Yeah.
And has
It's great when you put it down a
yeah,
rubbish chute.
and has an interesting relationship with siblings.
Yeah. I'm gonna. If it was original, if it was an original broadcaster or telly, Yoda. Despite its ostensible ugly appearance, it contains all the wisdom in the galaxy.
Love that. Love that. Hotel and band do you have? That's funny.
And let's see then, what have we got over here? Lando Calrissian.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
Kind of interesting, but no one knows what the hell he does. Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. And we haven't found Darth yet. There he is. I am your humbucker guitar.
That's very good.
Which makes
That's
this
very
Anakin, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Started good.
Had a funky middle section and ended well.
Actually, this isn't Anakin. This is my Luke, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It's too refined, that guitar, for Luke. I'm going to say...
Boba Fett.
No. Your gold top's Boba Fett.
Duda solo?
Hang on, what is it?
Tell Jabba I got his money. Okay, I'm sorry, sir. This conversation has run dry. Yeah, that was nice. Nice question.
Yeah, very good.
Excellent question. I hope the comments is absolutely full of hilarious versions.
The Sunburst of Qui-Gon Jinn, very nice. Very nice.
Mixed Strat is the Vader. Is Vader because it destroys all other guitars, says
There you
Chris
go.
Costabile. Thanks,
Very
Chris.
good. Very good.
Thanks. Jaguar Binks. Jaguar Binks. Says Jimbo Diddley. Nice.
Very good.
Good. And not a single Star Trek joke in the whole skit. That was pretty good, wasn't
Very
it?
good. May the force be with you.
Yeah. There you go. We'll just cap it off with that one. Hi, DNM, says Chris W. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
He says, hi, DNM, just reflecting on the ARC conversation. Remember, we keep talking about ARC.
We keep talking about it as well.
Analog, real, communal, as opposed to div, digital, individual, virtual. ARC is apparently an acronym in the Church of Scientology as well.
Is it?
We'll just have to share the ARC analogy.
Well, the ARC's
The
a
ARC
thing.
acronym. Yeah, I mean, it's
It's a, you know,
yeah, they can't trademark ARC,
it's
can
like
they?
McDonald's.
Yeah.
No,
Two arcs.
no, it's McDowell's. McDonald's has the golden arches. We have the golden arcs. That's from Coming to America.
Anyway, he says, just reflecting on the ARC conversation, I found a plus side. There are now heaps of quality used analog gear things on the market at reasonable prices. Please take a cue from the good folks in the chat. There are, but I would respectfully disagree in that all the really serious stuff is still really serious money.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a Marshall flat front cab with the right speakers in it. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I'm not saying what the right speakers are, by the way. You know what they are. Okay, question from the chat. Let's go with... Oh, come on. I'm looking for a question mark. Just looking for a question mark.
You got a question, Mark? Yeah.
Okay, it's from Rex Solomon. Hello, Rex. Rex says, with 2 amp simulator pedals,
2 amps. Okay.
does running dry on the left and wet on the right on a 5.1 channel receiver, is that the same as using 2 separate guitar amps? What would be the difference?
The difference is the latency with each of the pedals. But it can, I mean, it can work.
It's quite, so you know what a 5.1 channel receiver is?
A
Hi-fi amp.
like the high, yeah,
Well,
the
it's
surround,
home cinema amp.
sound,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
So you're saying you've got a way to plug those into your home cinema amp? I wonder how that works.
Well, it's only a stereo field at best with those things.
Well, unless it's decoded into 5.1.
I don't think there are any amp pedals that are decoded.
No, that's what I'm saying. So the inputs on the 5.1 thing are going to be left and right, aren't they?
Yeah.
So presumably you're coming out of this pedal,
Mm-hmm.
going into right, out of that pedal going into left.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if this is slow. I'm just trying to catch up. And then what does the 5.1 receiver then do with it?
You would have to mix it. It would have to be it would need to receive all the information to be able to put stuff around. If it just receives left and right, it's just going to put it left and right.
Yeah.
Unless there's some clever... I know there is some clever software and things, like when we heard the that mix over at Neve, and they had the headphones on, and it was spatial headphones.
Bonkers.
It was absolutely crazy. You'd put headphones on, and you would hear things in 3-dimensional space. It was so weird. So, and there are some clever bits of software that can do that. But yeah, even into a 5.1 amp, it would, I think, unless the clever stuff is, it'll just be left and right.
We think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, worth trying though.
Yeah.
I mean, like home cinema stuff, especially now that amp simulation pedals have got speaker simulation in them, actually could sound pretty good going through home cinema stuff, because it's just the same. Well, it is a step towards using a straight FR full range flat response, more like a PA cab, or what you used to do, plug into your stereo system at home. Could work great actually.
So funny. I was sorting out. My brother's he's got a home cinema that he uses for his practice space. So we put on like Pink Floyd in his home cinema and cranked it, and he's jamming along to Pink Floyd with like
Awesome.
in surround sound
In Pompeii.
Oh man, that's the way to do it. So good.
Danielle Williams, hello Danielle, says, did I miss anyone saying Boba Fret?
Boba Fret, very
you.
good.
Similarly, Robert Payne says, Major Fourth be with you.
That's very good.
We like that.
But being a Star Trek / Star Wars fan, and unfortunately it's not a major fourth, it's a perfect fourth, and so all those things matter. In the episode number 4, series 7,
right,
where they went to say major fourth and were corrected.
Yes.
Into a perfect fourth.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm going
perfect
to say
fourth
about
be
that.
with you doesn't really.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Stu says, I guess Dan and Mick won't read your comment unless you contribute money to their channel. No, we won't, Stu.
So we prioritise the super chats because we do. But of course we go through and read some stuff.
Yeah. We also read about 2,000 comments a week on the YouTube channel and respond to questions there, he said. Anyway, good. Chulaka says Kevin Just.
Chulaka, that's
Thanks,
good.
Kevin. That's pretty spectacular. Moving right along, would be Zachary Manzanetti. Hi, Zachary. He says, hi from Sacramento, California. With the girlfriend moving in, or GF, could be
gluten-free.
Golfing
He's gone gluten-free.
friend. Galloping feline. Anyway, he says, I was thinking of moving my backup board in its case to the garage, where it often gets over 35 degrees C and sometimes over 40. Will this be bad for my pedals?
What do you want to... will it be bad? I mean, no. It should be absolutely fine.
Might make your Velcro a bit sticky.
Yeah, so stuff like tape and any adhesives, that's more of a problem at that temperature. But all of this, I'm just trying to think of anything that is spec'd to operate under 50 plus degrees, and I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Yeah, no, it should be fine. The thing to be aware of is the moisture content in the air.
Yeah.
If it's warm is one thing, warm and moist is a different thing.
Yeah.
And if you get playing in bands in Australia where at the end of the night things were soaked in various forms of liquids,
Yeah.
and the next day things would get hot and steamy,
Yeah.
and that's where it becomes an issue, getting moisture in. But heat itself will be fine.
Similarly, condensation. If you're in a hot and sticky pub, for example, and you go out and it's freezing outside, condensation can be a bit of an issue. I left both my Lone Stars actually in, one of them much longer than the other, in a storage unit for too long, and there was rust all over the place when I got it back.
BV and Gordon Rankin have both said batteries at 35 to 40 would be bad. Yes, take any batteries out.
Okay.
But yeah, apart from that, I think it should be okay.
A good case is a good idea.
A good case, absolutely. And if you are in a humid area with high temperatures, stick some silica gel packs in the case as well.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and that will absorb.
There you go. Good luck with the cohabitation there, Zachary.
Yeah.
We can recommend it. Jean Miropica, Jean Miropica says, I just got a Formula B mini bender and a throwback Strange Master.
Oh man, the throwback stuff's amazing.
Never seen them on the show. Do you have any tips or tricks? Thanks for all you do, says Jean, I guess. Or it could be Jean, but we think it's Jean.
Yes. We have had them on the show. I've got a couple of throwback things. I've got the throwback Stone Bender, and I have the throwback Overdrive Boost, both of which are glorious. They're very sensitive. Small changes make massive differences. Also, they're very sensitive to power because they just use really, very low tolerance components. They're made beautifully. As long as you power them well, and yeah, they're wonderful. The Strange Bender, the
Strange Master, which I'm guessing is a
Range Master clone.
Yeah,
but it's brilliant.
So first up, try your Range Master in front of your Formula B, because if the mini bender is a tone bender type, the Range Master going into it will be really nice. Range Masters tend to like being first in line.
Yeah, but also because the tone bender type pedals, they work better with low impedance signals. Treble boosters into tone benders is a magic combination.
Yeah, so try it that way around. And I don't know, again, apologies for not knowing these products very well. If the throwback has a lot of Rangemaster type pedals, for example, the Analog Man Beano Boost, the Pedal Pawn Texas Twan, which is not exactly that, but it is based on a treble booster type circuit. Quite a lot of them have. In the old days, it would just be one cap, basically. So it would be horrifically upper, mid and treble because it's designed to hit a really cranked amp, in which case it does its magic. These days, not everyone uses them that way, so they'll add a switch on there that brings progressively more bass and lower mids back. It might be that when you try your Strange Master, if it has such a switch, you think, oh my god, why would anyone ever use it in that really thin setting? Stick it in front of the tone bender and try it, and you'll understand quite quickly what that thin setting is all about. It's really, really, really cool. So try that. Then watch any shows we've done in the past on tone benders and also range treble boosters. We have done at least 2 shows on each, I think, and there'll be plenty of tips and tricks in there.
Indeed.
Yeah. Now, I was making some assumptions about the products there, but I'm just guessing because of the names. Dewey Finn. Hello, Dewey Finn.
Hello, Dewey.
I put 4 Alessandro GA10 SC64s in a 67 Super Reverb I bought this winter.
Nice.
They have let the amp truly speak in pubs or theatres. Highly recommended.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting the speaker right in any amp is essential, but I find that you can get 10-inch speakers really wrong. You know what I mean? Because they speak in a very specific way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Alessandro, they're meant to be amazing.
They are meant to be. I've never actually heard any with my own ears, I don't think, up close. Would be good to try some. He did a George Alessandro is his name. He did a collaboration with Eminence.
Oh, right.
And there are at least two Alessandro Eminence speakers.
Nice.
Yeah, design would be good. John Mayer uses his cabs, I think, or used to. Yeah, it would be nice. Would be nice to hear some of that stuff. Glad you're enjoying it, Dewey.
Gordon Rankin says working with George Alessandro right now. Great
nice.
guy.
Please give him our regards.
Yes.
Chad Kemp says, good day from Virginia. No question today from Chad Kemp. He says, I just wanted to say I get so much inspiration and joy from watching the pure joy the two of you have about this stuff. Thank you. Please grab a cue from the chat. We shall do. We shall do. Right, this will be from AJ Bray. AJ Bray says, what's the best way to implement a pedal that has a wet dry out into an already stereo setup?
So you need to, so it depends on whether that pedal is a mono input wet dry out. So lots of analog delays have that. So let's, for example, if it's an analog delay you're talking about that has a dry out and a wet out, you'd simply put it on the wet side. If it is a true stereo pedal, you can put it anywhere in the stereo chain. But once you've made the split, you simply need to decide whether you want it to go on the wet out or the dry out. It might be that pedal's better at making the split. But yeah, if you've made the split and you've got your parallel signal path, just decide which side you want it on.
Parallele.
Parallele.
Remember that?
I do.
That was a thing that we did. Sorry,
What was the thing?
I'm just rooting around for a cable. I appreciate Australians have a different meaning for the word root. Let's look at something that we have here. Don't they, Dan?
They do. They do. I had a Ford Ute, which was awesome. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, so lots of people saying about cars and their electronics, but they have, yeah, different things to deal with. But yes, going back to that, they'll be fine. Well, did you find one?
What?
With the cable.
I'm
Oh, you're going to do the thing.
I'm preempting.
Oh, that's great.
Preempting the next question, but I'm
Oh, very good.
obviously being dumb because that doesn't want to go in there. It might not have any battery anyway, so this could all be a rather damp squid.
Okay. Is that the right cabelle? There you go.
There you go.
Beautiful.
I bet the battery's dead.
Be positive.
Totally dead.
The battery is dead.
Most disappointing camera in the world ever, this. Keep talking to the people. Dan.
Okay. All right. Well, you're doing a great job. You know. Here we go. How do you turn stereo? Oh, how do you turn stereo a mono reverb pedal? Follow it with a stereo chorus after. It's interesting, right? We're doing a show tomorrow. We've just set up amps for the show we're doing tomorrow. We've got a mono, the Echo Fix Spring Reverb on the board. And normally we do the wet dry thing, which is great. At the moment, we've just got everything going straight, dual mono into both amps, and it just sounds magic.
It's pretty magic.
It's the stereo thing, the wet dry thing, it's all great. Don't forget, so often, just sending everything into both amps as well is great. Having the ability to do that is really cool. The more I got into having stereo imagery with the pedal board, especially getting to play live and loud, it's like, you know what? It's a really great thing, but simplify, you know, and certainly for stuff that I'm doing, just having I've got spring reverb in one amp and having a mono reverb in the other. It just sounds epic. Yeah. Yeah. So, someone says he's lost it down under Dan. Okay. AJ Bray says, thank you guys, you're so welcome. Excuse me. Jordan Y says, "Did you guys get the new JHS overdrive, and what do you think of it?" No, they were threatening to send it out to us. We haven't received it as of yet, so I'd be really interested to see. They've done a new distortion. The hard drive.
Yeah, we've got it.
We've got it.
Yeah,
it's here. So there you go.
We've totally got it. Right. The reason I've set the camera up, you will have seen me there experimenting.
Oh, it did have battery in it. Oh, you put a fresh battery in it.
Yeah,
well done. Well done.
It was a question from Jacob Herbert. Hello, Jacob. He says, what are you guys putting the DI as DI or line isolators behind the UAFX amps? So when we did the UAFX Lion, Woodrow, we were going to put them direct. We did it with Jack Griffiths. We didn't do it with UA. Anyway, what are we putting behind them? We're putting this behind them. That is a Neve 1073.
Look at that.
Gordon, you'll notice your Chandler EQs that you so generously donated and the 551s. So we would DI them to that, which is currently running our room mics, whereas our normal guitar amp mics go into that.
Oh, the good stuff.
And then seeing as we're doing a massive flex.
Look at that.
That's the back end. That's what produces the back end of that pedal show.
Yep.
So yeah, we would, any DI, we would run straight into one of these. Neve 1073.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
And there's no, apart from, I don't know what plugins do we use now?
None.
We don't use any plugins. There we go. So, in the words of our dear friend Andy Wood, fix it in pre.
Yeah, we use no plugins for EQ or anything like that. Do it all in pre. We use plugins on the voice mics for noise reduction, bit of EQing, and all that sort of stuff, but not on the guitar amp mics anymore. That's just a beautiful thing. Anyway, that's what we would use for a DI, a Neve 1073 500 series preamp.
Yeah. But yes, our dear friend Gordon Rankin, who was in the chat, he's been so generous and sending stuff over for us to try out and have a play with. And
donated those 551 EQs and the Chandlers, which get used every week, Gordon. Thank you so much.
Yeah, mate. Really amazing. He's a good egg. He's a good egg.
Jolly good.
Brett says a little bit of pee just came out.
Yeah, me too, man.
You know what's interesting, right? And we're on this ARC journey.
Yeah. Analog, real, and communal.
And
we're going to build the ARC, by the way.
Yep.
I had a vision. I was watching TV on Saturday night, and I just had this absolute moment of Sartori, which I said to Catherine, I have just had a moment. I've just had an absolute vision. We are going to build the ARC. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Anyway, Dan, you were saying?
It's so interesting. The journey of the audio of TPS, and I go back and listen to some of the old shows and they're still great, but once we've gone this way, analog front end, I mean listening to the Reverb show last week, it's like, it's so good, just the way that we've managed to capture the audio, and even by the time it helps having that level of clarity in the audio, by the time it goes through YouTube, it just helps keep it together. So by the time they've finished messing with it, there's still some semblance of the original recording.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the closest we've got yet, and there is still a way to go. And it's fascinating because what you do is you learn. And oh God, massive tangent. There's stuff you know, there's stuff you don't know. Everything else is probability. And as time goes on, the stuff you thought you knew, because you've read about it on forums and you've heard people tell you about it, and you've got one level of understanding of it, actually completely changes when you have continued, persistent personal experience of it, and then Well, as far as you know. That's not to say there's any universal truth in it.
Yeah.
But you then know what you know, and that's quite valuable and hard-earned, and it takes forever.
James Blessed says, Neve kit is very much like my wife.
God.
Beautiful and very confusing.
Okay, I thought that was going to go bad there. I thought that was going to go into a Swiss Tony moment.
Listen to that. Wow. That's great.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, sorry, massive tangent. Today I'm rewiring my pedal board, says Scott Curry. Hi, Scott. He says, with the Gen X 14, which makes me wonder if there were 13 versions before it. I suppose there kind of were, really.
Yeah.
No question, just thanks for the inspiration. Please go to the chat for a question.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
buddy.
you, Scott.
Yeah.
A friend of ours who will remain nameless yesterday sent me a text message going, my power supply's just blown up. I replied something along the lines of, I told you, without having to say that. I would just like to reiterate it was not a gig rig product.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God, that sounds terrible. There are plenty of non-gig rig power supplies out there doing sterling work.
Yep, for sure.
There are. Of course there are.
Yep.
Right, Scott, to your question.
Other supplies are available.
Basil Tiffany says, but even with personal experience, there are limits. That's why science, not saying we need to subject only to science, just acknowledging the limits of immediate experience. That's a philosophical point, that, isn't it, Basil? Because you can only perceive what you can perceive. You can't perceive more than that. If you need a piece of research to tell you that this is green, but you're still seeing it as blue, might help you in your day-to-day life, I guess, if you figure out how to determine the difference between the two. But what you like in terms of sonics and sound, you could expand that to music, food, you like what you like, don't you? And your experience of it is entirely personal. It's entirely personal. And it's okay to lean on that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moon says, why are the Englands the bad at the footballs?
Oh, mate, I've had a 20-year journey of following the English football team, and my heart breaks for English fans.
Yeah. My question would be, why should they be any better?
That's a very good question.
You've got Spain, Italy, Germany, and the United Kingdom as probably the best Premier Leagues, are they?
I don't know. Probably.
Let's say, and I apologise if I've missed anyone out on that, in terms of Europe, because it's the European Championships that are happening at the moment. Obviously, lots of players from those territories come into play in the Premier League, and lots of English players go to play in those other territories. Why should they be any better?
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows?
I think there's a bit of now, any of you out there that are good psychologists or know about this or have read it or have done the research or know of research, there must be something about underdog syndrome.
Okay.
So if you're Denmark, for example, coming into a tournament, and by the way, if I've chosen a bad example, apologies, my knowledge of European football is not that good, as you can tell. If you're Germany, France, Spain, Italy, England, you're probably considered the higher echelons of the team, and there will be other teams that are not considered in that top flight of soccer, right? So if you are one of those teams that's not considered in the top flight, what have you got? Nothing to lose.
Yeah, right.
That must be psychologically very different.
Yeah.
Than going into something as a favourite.
Yep.
Now, I'm sure there are very clever sports psychologists, management teams, all of that, to get over all of that in the major teams. But, yeah.
James Bless says, try being Scottish. That was a heartbreaking game.
It was
for
so
Scotland.
close.
Heartbreaking. You were robbed.
So
Absolutely
close.
robbed. That was an awful decision. That was absolutely a penalty.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not about the individual talent of the players, is it?
No.
It's about how good the band is.
Yeah.
And maybe there's something in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many bands have you been to see where somebody's like the star of the band and the band is a bit average as a result? Whereas you might go to see a band where no one's individually like going to blow your socks off, but as a band, they're just fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when we were in LA and there was a band on, we went with Owen. The band was all right. And then I was saying to Owen, dude, what are we doing here? So he said, just wait. And then that singer turned up. And the singer jumped on stage with the band, and suddenly the band becomes the best band in the world.
Yeah.
They just lifted because the singer was unbelievable. And so, yeah, I often think about, things like Van Halen without David Lee Roth, and they had an amazing singer. I think Sam Hagar is flipping amazing singer. I really liked his stuff pre-Van Halen as well. And, still a great band, but a very different band without Dave. Trying to think, what would Aerosmith be like without Bonnie Tyler?
Yeah. Yeah, Ingship is saying, as a Scot, he was unsurprised to lose to Germany as a country of 5 million up against a country of 84 million. Okay, so you've got a wider pool of people to choose from. In which case, China should win the World Cup, should they?
That's a really good point. Yeah, don't know.
But it might. Those of you good at statistics will know that would probably argue that once you get to a certain point, it doesn't really make any difference. Maybe 5 million isn't quite enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, why are England so bad at football? Don't know. Why should they be any better?
Basil Tiffany says, I tried Mick's trick with his glasses. I might as well have just thrown my glasses on the floor with my hands. For anyone unfamiliar with this trick, I've tried doing it and I can't. It's very good. Okay, that's it. And that's very good.
Must be something to do with the shape of my deeply furrowed brow after years of worrying is probably what it is. Joe Rose says, why can England still join the European football stuff after Brexit? We're still in Europe. We are just not in the European Union, I think is how it goes. A bit like Australia in bloody Eurovision, isn't it?
What's that about?
What is that about?
Nil point.
0 point. Right. Sorry, way too much tangenting.
Lots of people giving some gig love after a question. Thank you so much, guys. It's really appreciated. Yeah.
Elliot Green says, good evening. I saw Taylor Swift last night and it was very cool.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing a chart-topping artist backed by a guitarist shredding on an EVH guitar. Cool episode last week. Would you consider doing a show on real plate reverbs? We'd have to go somewhere where there is one.
We'd have to go somewhere. I wanted to do a show on when Mick did this reverb show where you went out and did what's it called, the
impulse response
with the poly, and that was brilliant. But yeah, a real plate. Who's got a real plate that we know? An EMT. Do they have one at Abbey Road?
Have to go to a studio, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Bet Josh Smith's got one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we should go to a studio where there is one and have a listen. Amazing things.
I'm sure that it's just another reason to go to Nashville.
I am immensely jealous of you, Elliot, for seeing Tay-Tay as well. I'd love to see that.
Yep.
What a blinking show that must be.
Yep.
I am Stoic Dan. Says, hello from Omaha, Nebraska, where it's a toasty 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 37.7 degrees Celsius.
Nice. Respectable.
Can you regale us of stories of the most uncomfortably hot gig you've played. Love to TPS and the gig rig folks.
Oh yeah, that's some lunchtime outdoor gigs in Sydney in summer,
Can't imagine it.
which is really hurty.
Can't imagine it.
Yeah, brutal. But even just, in the middle of summer and doing long sets in crowds. I mean, this is going to sound disgusting, but I swear this is the truth. We would do gigs at the boat shed in Manly, and it was down a flight of stairs in the middle of summer that was so hot, so many people, everyone starts sweating, and it would start dripping from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the odd drip. It was like raining,
Yeah.
and it was really vile, but really fun, really fun.
There's something about the release of it all, isn't there? I mean, maybe not as you get older and a bit more sort of particular about things, but certainly as a teenager, playing in sweaty bars, there's like it all sort of aids with apologies for the use of the word flow.
Yeah,
Flow being
completely.
water. It's all part of it, isn't it? You're just so totally swept along in the experience of
Yeah.
it. Bar full of people, everyone's hammered. The
And
band is
everyone's
like,
experiencing the same thing, right? You're all in there together.
it's arc.
Yep.
It's 115 dB and it's arc.
Yep. Come on.
And I distinctly remember it would have been late 80s, very late 80s. Carlsberg used to do this beer called Elephant Beer. I know about around the world. Well, actually, I do know about around the world. Most sort of premium lagers are about 5%, right? English beers can be 3.5 to 4, and then there's this whole new wave of 2% beers and 1% beers, whatever. Anyway, a decent premium pilsner or whatever is going to be 4.5 to 5.5%. Then you get Special Brew and Tennent's Super, which is like 9%, which is the only reason of buying that is if you want to get utterly hammered.
Yep.
And Gold Label and all of that stuff. Carlsberg, in their infinite wisdom, thought, what we need is a beer that's in between. So did Elephant Beer. They may still do it, but they did Elephant Beer in bottles at 7.5%. And this particular wine bar that we played at sold it. I was too young to drive. Obviously too young to drink.
Oh my goodness.
But again, Americans might find this slightly odd, but when I was a teenager, there's a very sort of laissez-faire attitude to underage drinking in the UK, by and large, especially if you're in the band. In America, still, I've been to quite a few states where even at my age now, you have to show ID as you go in. Not the case for this 16-year-old with his Fender Twin in this bar having about 10 bottles of this Elephant Beer. Back to the actual thing, few bottles of that, rolling, sweating, 115 dB, can't move in the place.
Yeah. So good.
Just a unique experience.
Yeah, there's nothing like. I just trying off the top of my head, like when it's really hot, having it. There's nothing as refreshing as a beer, but when you're on stage and it's really hot, having a beer in that situation is just like manna from heaven. There's nothing that hits that point. That's how Australian rock and roll was born, my friend.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the more...
Oh, we got an email this week from Ian Moss.
Oh, nice.
So Ian Moss was the guitar player from Cold Chisel, and he's out here doing his solo thing, and he is amazing. Unfortunately, we're not going to be around when he's doing his thing, so we're going to miss him this time. But I've said, because
It was going well, and then...
it was going great.
Yeah.
And I met Ian on a number of occasions. I lent him bits of gear. The last time I saw him was at a gig at the Harbourside Brasserie. We'd both gone there to watch Alan Holdsworth.
Oh, no way.
And I'm at the bar, and Alan had been playing for like 10 minutes, and Ian comes up to me and goes, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Dude, this is blowing my mind." He's like, "Yeah, it's pretty full on, isn't it? But he is the sweetest guy, astonishing guitar player. So next time he's out, we'll have to get him on. But yeah, Ian Moss, some of the tunes in Cold Chisel have got some of the best, like really super melodic guitar playing, but there's energy and his tone and his voice. Yeah, really great. So anyway, unfortunately, all that to say, we're going to miss him. So sorry, Mossy. Next time, buddy.
I'm just dealing with the incoming Warren Haynes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is he here?
He's on his way.
Great.
Yeah, nice. Which should be good.
Oh, looking forward to that.
Yeah, good old days. Good old days. Good old days. They bloody were as well. They really were.
They were.
I hope those days still exist for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't drink beer anymore, unfortunately. Which is very sad.
I must say, the last couple of months, I've indulged in a couple of like mellow IPAs, and especially like if there's a bit of sunshine, I'll get the barbecue out and I'll just have a sneaky beer.
Paid for it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
with my soul.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
It's so good. It's so good. There we go. Hopefully that was a regaling of stories enough for you. I am Stoic Dan. Ran's there. Hey, Ran.
G'day, mate.
Been a while. He says, dear D and M and B and K and H and R and chat. It's been a while. It has. No more H. Hades has finally gone and got a proper job. So we no longer have Hades here, Hayden, who helped us out for a couple of years. He's moving on with his career and his life, and he's gone to get a proper job with proper employers and an actual salary. So
bless him.
Good on you, Hades. So Jake Loosemore's coming in to help us out on a very casual basis. You're very casual, Jake. I know you're watching, mate. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Ranzair says, sending love and appreciation. TPS is a rare, regular bright spot in a crap year.
Man.
Sorry to hear that. Still hope to come to an experience day in the not too distant future. Choose a cue from the chat, please. We will, Ran.
Oh, buddy, sorry to hear that, mate.
Whatever's going on.
Yeah, we send you lots of love, mate, and hope you're doing awesome.
Yeah. Miles Jury, I'll just answer this one very quickly because people get annoyed with the production talk. He says, good evening, guys. For recording, do you have any preferences for using actual aux send and return pedals, compression, verb, etc., over using the virtual effects in your DAW? Sorry for the lack of terminology. Yes, absolutely. Things like anything that can be analog, we try and go for it. Compressors, pre's, EQs. EQs maybe not so much because the EQs in most DAWs are pretty magic. Obviously a lot of big reverbs, yes. I do use the CXM78 as post, but if you want to add another one via a plugin, what I find is cumulative plugins. You start using loads of them, it starts to sound very processed.
Yeah.
So yeah, analog where we can and minimal where we can, just because that suits the kind of stuff that Dan and I like. You know, is not relevant in different kinds of music where that sort of sound is much more relevant. But in the kind of stuff we like, bandy, roomy, instruments sounding like instruments in a room, analog, absolutely down the line wherever we can afford it.
For sure.
Yeah.
So Bacchus says, is there a way to send a delay pedal to either 1 or 2 amps in a wet-dry rig at once in one board? Or would I need 2 delays? Or would I need 2 delays? Very nice. So you can send, if you've got a wet-dry rig, you can send it to 1 amp, or you can put it on the other, you can send it on either side of the chain. But as soon as you put it to both, it would need to be before the split. So, and it can work before the split, and you can have other things after the split. The board we've got set up for tomorrow, we've actually got a page tube boost at the very end going into the Marshall, and it sounds magic. Verbs and delays going into that. So you can put a delay before the split and have, you know, chorus on one side and whatever. But if you want to do it and keep... Oh, yeah, actually, no buts. That will work. But the wet-dry effect, what you're losing there is the dry amp by having the delay before the split and having it go to both amps. But there are ways to put a single delay on one side or the other. But to have them on both and retain the parallel nature of the signal path, you'll need either two separate delays set up to do different things maybe, then you're looking at stereo stuff, or pre-split.
There you go.
There you go. Hope that helps.
Karen Bassett wants to know, what do you take to gigs as a backup amp?
Well, I've always got two amps, so if one goes down, I've always got the other one. And yeah, hasn't happened yet, but
sometimes sometimes I'll take a Victory lunchbox head,
oh, that's a good idea.
and because it just sits down behind the seat of the car. Sometimes if I'm really worried about it,
Right.
but same as Dan, take 2 amps most of the time anyway. There is actually a Line 6 pocket pod in one of the receptacles in my car,
I remember being in the Mini
just in
and
case.
you were rocking out with that. It was
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Never had to use it yet. Hopefully never will. Shatman2 says, "Hi guys, what's your opinion on Bigsby's on single Telecasters for rock and blues rock? Single presumably means single coil pickups. So we're having a Bigsby on a 2 single coil Telecaster for rock and blues. Thank you."
Okay. The problem that I've always had with Bigsby's, and I had a Bigsby on an old telly, is the bridge is a very different thing. So it fundamentally changes the sound of the telly.
Yeah, isn't a telly anymore.
Yeah. Now, it can be very cool. Bigsby's can sound awesome. Something about... So, same reason that this guitar has a sound all of its own is this massive, ridiculous chunk of metal screwed into the back end of the body. The Bigsby's got a similar thing. And it adds a weight and a sustain, but it moves away from the telly thing. There are special Bigsby Telecaster bridges and pickup plates and stuff. So yeah, can be cool, but you do lose a little bit of the telly schwangness.
Yeah, I've never played one in anger.
Yeah.
I've obviously played them, but never. So I can't really comment. Yeah. Sorry if that's not a full answer, but yeah.
If you've got a Telecaster that you really, really like, and
don't
thinking
do it.
about a Bigsby, don't do it.
No, get a different one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If either start off with a Bigsby on a telly or something, but
Or if you've got a telly that's so and you're not absolutely in love with it and you want to try it,
yeah,
by all means.
absolutely. But
Yeah.
don't do it to a telly that you really like, because it'll fundamentally change the nature of the guitar.
Yeah. Scott Rainsford. Hello, Scott. He says, "What is the backstory behind the glorious one-chord TPS theme? Love and appreciation from New Zealand." Is it that chord I always play?
It's this one, isn't it? Isn't it? That one?
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I played it. Just mic'd up an amp. Probably used about 50 plugins.
It goes.
CXM. Actually, no, it's not 50 plugins. It's my old board as it was, which was the CXM, the Jester Juggler, maybe, or it might have been the old Page. And anyway, it was when I'd discovered preset 4, factory preset 4
On the CXM.
on the CXM
Nice.
78, and I was just completely in love with it. So there's a bit of that. There's some delay, I think, and then it's just a couple of amps mic'd in a wet dry way, I think, is all it is. Yeah, did it in a bit of a hurry.
Sounds great.
Yeah. What's the chord, Dan? What's that chord called?
It is that. I guess you would call that a. What would you call that? You would call that it's an E minor. Do we have a 9 in there? We got E minor 11. So there's there's your 9. There's your 11. There's your 9 again. No, there's your minor. That's a minor 13.
Is there a way of seeing it where the B is the root, not the E?
Then you've got a minor, like a minor 6. Yeah, because there's a B minor, but there's a...
I think of it as an E root, but just in case there's
Yeah.
those of you out there thinking differently.
Yeah, but sort of like it's almost like a G first inversion. So let's go. Yeah, so it's like a G major 7 first inversion, a G major 9 first inversion. It's probably a better way to think of it. Yeah.
I'm trying. If anyone can think of where you've heard it in a song, let me know, because it's obviously in loads of songs. But
So that chord. That's the extended version of that.
Paul Matudovic says, "Are you sure it was the CXM? I thought the sound had been around longer than the CXM." That is also possible, but I don't know. Captain Sexy 90 says, "Hello peeps. Mick, original speakers in the 2 Rock. Cab, love from the captain." They are, although I've been Googling for the same speakers that Robin has in his Dumble cab, which are G1265 Roller Celestians. I did find some the other day, and then they were just too much money.
And okay, right, fair enough.
They're not crazy money, but they're... And Robins are just new ones. I should just buy some new ones, really, but... just... For the halibut, right? I don't know that they're going to sound any different or better. I know that they're going to sound different. I don't know if I'm going to prefer it. And I don't dislike the speakers in the cab at the moment. There is a high-end thing they do, which I don't love. And I don't know if that is the way they're voiced or the power handling. But at a gig, yeah, I don't know. I kind of don't want to get into it, if you know what I mean.
I do.
Because there's a lot of hassle.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Robin's Dumble cab is the best sounding guitar enclosure I have ever heard in my whole life.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that feels a little bit sad about that.
Yes.
So, anyway, there we are.
Sends his love, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Dan went out for dinner with Robin this week, so.
He's gonna come back. He had such a great time that he's gonna come back. We're gonna have do something. But yeah, really amazing.
Yeah, changed our lives. Changed my life.
If you get a chance to go and hang out, be in the vicinity of someone, an astonishing guitar player, and not just like, go and see them live, obviously, but if you get to be this close to them while they're doing their thing and you get to watch their hands and the way they hold themselves and stuff, watching Robin's right hand was like, it just blew my mind.
I've seen you doing it.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've observed you doing it, Daniel. It is, and we are, we're super lucky to be able to do that. It's an education that we don't take lightly.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, I mean that. It might sound like I'm being facetious. I'm not. It's a big deal. It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Gents, a thank you for the wealth of knowledge you've shared with our guitar community, says Whippoorwill 32. Whippoorwill 32. With that in hand, I've had a quickening of sorts and improved my tone vastly. With gratitude, I yield my question to the main chat. Thank you, Whippoorwill. What's that? Highlander, the quickening?
Yeah. There can be only one.
It is true, isn't it? Whether it's sound or playing, usually it's hardly ever a smooth curve. There are usually periods of great change and then plateaus, and then periods of great change and plateaus. And it's nice when you have a period of great change. So we'll take one from the chat.
There's one here. Kieran Moore says, what about B-benders on tellies? Do they lose the telliness in the same way? It's a really interesting question because for all the work and routing and nonsense that goes on with a B bender, actually they're pretty good because you're keeping it's the same bridge, same plate, same saddles, all that stuff, but you're changing the way that the B happens on it. There's also, if you have a look at Peter Stroud has a guitar that has those little flipper lever things, those little benders on there, and they're really cool as well. But the B bender thing is really interesting. Again, if you've got a telly that you love, don't do it.
No.
But if you're going to get a parts caster and build one,
And do it.
they retain their telliness, absolutely.
Yeah,
They're
it's a cool
really,
sound.
really cool.
Those of you who watched the Stephen Wilson show a while back will remember a lovely guy called by the name of Nico Tsonev. And Nico dropped in during the week. He was just on his way to and from somewhere, and he showed me a parts caster that he put together, which had that bridge you're talking about.
Yeah.
So Duesenberg do one, and it's got two little levers on it, one that bends the G and one that bends the D, and you can decide by what degree you want to bend it. What amazed me about that, and this is unsurprising given that it's Duesenberg, the action on it, on the lever, was just silky smooth.
Yeah.
I've played them before where you've got to really yank them down. This was just like
I would love
chef's kiss, man.
to talk to the engineer who designs their tremolos. Because I think it would be an amazing conversation. I'd just have a beer with him and just to find out, because it's always been a bugbear of mine that love the sound of the Bigsby, couldn't stay in tune. Then I played my first Duesenberg and it was like, this is wild. And yeah, same thing with those, because you watch Peter Stroud use them and it's like it's a lap steel and it's like amazing.
But I don't know this, but I would imagine if you showed a Bigsby to any half competent engineer these days who works
they'd
with
sort it
metal,
out.
they would just fall on the floor laughing, wouldn't they?
Maybe.
And they'd say
It's the same thing you show a fuzz face to any decent engineer. They're like,
that's not engineering.
what happened here? Yeah,
that's farm
exactly.
machinery.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pre 1920s farm machinery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could machine you something much more efficient than that,
Yeah.
surely. And
I think especially now,
yeah,
because the tolerances are so much better, and
Yeah.
a lot of those the metal that those things were cast from was not awesome. But yeah,
then it sounds, doesn't it?
can't argue with the sounds.
It sounds. It sounds. Lee Weatherall says, "Good evening. I'm new to TPS. Welcome, Lee. Nice to have you among us." He says, "Do you play acoustics as well as electric when gigging?"
So, I used to. I used to play with an artist called Max Sharam. And if you, like in 94, I think, 30 years ago now, but there's TV appearances that we did back there, and they see me with long hair and stuff, but I used to have an acoustic guitar on a stand, and there's a song called Coma, which is a really big hit in Australia, and the acoustic guitar will start. And then you go into the chorus, and I have to step back from the acoustic and go into the big rock thing, and there's wah solo, and then back into the acoustic. And I loved doing that. It was absolutely brilliant. And I did it for a little while in Tin Spirits, because we would do that thing roundabout, but it ended up just being a massive pain because most of the gigs were support gigs. But I did like having the acoustic on the stand, It's prog, baby. It's prog.
Anyway, I'm just not even going to talk about that. But you also did tons and tons of gigs with an acoustic guitar, just an acoustic guitar. 10 years of it.
Yeah. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gigs.
Yeah, me too.
We
I do more gigs on an acoustic guitar than I do on an electric.
Yeah, it's Dougie and me.
At the moment.
Dougie and me, and it had a duo called the Bipolar Bears, and it was hilarious. But it was a rock gig. It was
Yeah.
loud.
They're amazing.
You know. Yeah. I loved gigs with just acoustic. It was great.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to get past the stand. I'm just going to move on. It's right up there with headstock tuners for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a thing. And I didn't have, for what I was doing, I had no choice. I had to couldn't use a Parker Fly. It just didn't. Yeah, so anyway, for that particular gig, it was great. And lots of her songs were going between acoustic and electric. And I was the only guitar player.
Yeah, so couldn't hire somebody else.
No. Yeah.
It's rock in a hard place. Mostly.
That was a great gig. That was so much fun.
Mostly a hard place.
Yeah. Actually, so we supported Chris Isaac. Sorry. We supported Chris Isaac, and the tour that we did with him, Herschel, his guitar player, that was his first tour. And they reached out.
Yes, well, BV knows Herschel, and Herschel wants to come on the show.
Please, that'd be great to see him again.
We just need to make it happen date-wise. BV,
Yeah.
I'm sorry I haven't come back to you about that. I've had a week of admin that has been an unusually high week of admin.
Right.
To the point it's causing slight PTSD.
Oh, dude. But yeah, I'll never forget it. Hanging out with Chris Isaac and Kenny, the drummer, and I don't think I've ever laughed as much as that week with those two. Chris Isaac, him and Kenny were just firing off each other. It was like it was rehearsed. But man alive, he's such great guys. Absolutely hilarious. So yeah, but Herschel would be great to see Herschel again.
Matt W wants to know, any plans to name your new #1 guitars? It's funny how some guitars get names
Yeah.
and some don't. Like my Strat will never have a name.
No.
Butters was immediately Butters. Red has always been red.
Yep.
Blue was always blue for obvious reasons.
Yep. I don't know. It's the I don't know if the vintage guitars. I don't know. This is
Transit Van was Transit Van because anyway. But yeah, no, that's interesting. I know quite a few people who refer to their guitars in the female, like she. I just cannot get my head around that.
Oh, okay.
Totally can't get my head around that. Same with cars.
Okay.
Just like not for any sort of contemporary gender related issues, nothing to do with that at all. Just the fact that it is genderless.
Yeah, sure.
Literally. So I can't get my head around that. Anyway. We're all different, Daniel. I've got a modded Boss G7, says Leyland Berg.
Modded from who?
It's wearing a Parker coat.
It's riding a Vespa.
Sits on a Vespa.
Down at the Brighton.
Listens to the Jam. I've got a modded G7 to take care of mids in a live situation. Where in the chain should it go? After overdrives? Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're using it as a master EQ in the way that Tom Bookervack's been talking about a lot just recently, you want it down the chain. Because obviously, or not obviously, if you have it before your overdrives, it will affect the character of the overdrive, and that might not be what you want. If it just the same as if it were a bit of outboard EQ and you were using it on a recording desk, it's after everything. So you could try it after everything, or you could try it after your gain stages. Seems an appropriate place to put it, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny, even I'm not normally one for jumping on a bandwagon, but I did get the old Empress Parrot EQ out
So good.
to see if it would work, and then I used a bit of TPS wisdom, and I said, what am I trying to improve with this?
Right.
And I had no answer.
Oh, nice.
not saying my sound is perfect, by the way. I'm just saying I don't have a problem that I need to solve with it. So I thought, no, I'm not going to put that on there then. And that whole thing, like, if you're Tom Bookerback and you're doing sessions every day and you take your cart of gear into the studio and someone says, I need this, that, and that is a different thing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Lee Sklar tells this story about he's got this old bass that's used on, you know, 1 million sessions, and he had a switch installed on it that does nothing.
Oh, yeah.
As that producer goes in and goes, oh, we need this to be a little bit there. And he goes, how? Okay. He clicks the switch and goes, how's this? Yes. Man, watching him interviewed, I love his bass playing. Such a legend, but man, he's got some stories.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
And Tommy Tedesco as well. That have, when they used to all be separated by screens, and he'd play something, and someone would go by, can you try that on a mandolin or ukulele?
For spill, by the way, not COVID.
He goes, oh, okay. And he would pretend to put his guitar down and pick up something else, and he just played at a high register. Yes, that's exactly what we're after. So funny.
Paul Matunovic. Hello, Paul.
G'day, mate.
He says, oh, ye that give socks glorious purpose. Says, I don't suppose Mr.
Man. Oh, that's funny.
I don't suppose Mr. Benson left a Surf's Up for you, did he? Seems a glorious unit. What are your feelings on spring tanks in general?
So,
there was, bizarrely, there were two here for 2 weeks afterwards. They were going to get picked up and shipped, so I didn't want to unpack the packing to bring it in here to plug it in, but we totally should have done that. We had all the Beach Boys pedals like idiots, and we didn't get into them.
Okay.
I know.
Anyway,
have you watched the film? The film?
No.
Is it a film or a doc? It's a doc. Have you watched it?
No.
It's good.
Okay, I'll have a look.
Yeah.
I loved about Chris's big tank reverb is a dual tank reverb, and you could blend the different springs. Just a genius idea. He's such a creative designer, but he's got amazing ears. He knows what sounds good. That Benson amp, what's it called? The
Bellringer.
The Bellringer. Far out, man. What a great sounding amp. So I loved that. I would absolutely have one of those because of the dual tank thing and because it's unique. I've got enough long tank reverbs in my amps, and I prefer a short tank reverb. Like the Echo Fix spring reverb is a magical thing. I still love my Carl Martin. You know, I prefer the standalone things to be short tank, but I wouldn't buy a standalone long tank reverb because I've got enough in the amps. But they are wonderful.
Yeah, it's a bit like an old Space Echo or a Tube Tape Echo or something like that, Echoplex. Part of it is for the sound of the effect itself, and part of it is for the preamp and all the rest of it. And I think that's where something like the Surf's Up and certainly the old Fender Box and Victoria Reverberato, those kind of things, it's got tubes in it, you can overdrive it a bit. That's where they start to make the difference.
Yeah.
We do actually have a Benson Studio Toolbird, which is a stereo tube spring reverb, which has a issue which I need to fix. But when it's working, it's a completely different experience.
Wow.
To plates and plugins, even the CXM. It's like, oh wow, I didn't realise a lovely, well-tuned tube spring reverb could work so beautifully on drums, for example.
Yeah, right.
It's a lovely thing. So yeah, we like them. They just tip over that. It's a bit like the Tube Tape Echo again.
Yeah.
I flipping love the sound of it. Am I going to take it to a gig? No, because it's too much hassle. It's noisy. It will probably break down, or the tape will wear out, or something. Someone will spill a beer in it, or it's just too much hassle in that environment. But here, every day of the week.
Yep.
Every day of the week.
Yep. It's on the floor now. We'll be using it with
Mr. Haynes.
Mr. Haynes, our Sir Warren of Haynes tomorrow.
Yeah.
Basil Tiffany says, do you have Miracle Whip in the UK? It's like mayo, but different. No. No, Basil.
Miracle Whip. What is that? Is that a food stuff or a
Must
hair
be.
product?
Yeah, no, it must be a food stuff. I know Dairy Whip.
Condiment manufactured by Kraft Heinz and sold throughout the United States and Canada.
Right.
Oh, it's kind of like a whipped mayonnaise, is it? Cheaper alternative to mayonnaise. So probably, I'm not going to say anything in case we get sued.
Okay.
So we'll move along from that.
Indeed.
In the Blues Brothers, when Elwood walks up the stairs to his apartment after he's picked Jake up, the man on the stairs says, "Did you bring the cheese whip, boy?"
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And that's obviously something different. Bootsy Collins on his album The Funk Capital of the World also had a song called Cool Whip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool Whip. Why are you pronouncing the H? Whip.
Something like, I'm so cool I make the AC jealous. You're way too cool, way too cool.
I am the hip-hop-opotamus. My lyrics are bottomless.
Cool whip, so rich, so creamy, so easy. Yeah, it's a flipping fantastic record, that. God bless you, Bootsy. Right. Perilous Temple says, so happy to be here with you.
Oh, bless you, mate.
And we're happy you're here. No question, just gratitude. I love how much the show is evolving while keeping its solid core truth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The truth is just wanting to do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think it's any more complex than that.
As opposed to... That's the truth?
That's the truth.
That's the truth.
Thank you, Perilous. We appreciate those kind words. Thank you for your excellent episode on recording, says Peter Romano. Do you feel that smoothed out Marshall-esque amps emulate stacked EQ gain effects of multiple transformers to the human ear? Has this contributed to their rise in popularity? If I'm reading this right, you are making the point that if you stand next to a cranked plexi in a room, it's a very different experience. Rick Beato made the point when he came in. Few people have made it. By the time it's gone through a mic pre, whole bunch of other stuff, exactly as you say, stacked EQs, the gain stacking effects, the harmonic effects of transformers and things like that. Yes, absolutely, 100% agree with you. Yeah, and perhaps what you're also saying, and I'm sorry if I'm putting words in your mouth, what we now hear from amps that sound like cranked Marshall plexis and plexi-derived amps is that smooth sound out of the amp. So it's smoothed out by the time you hear it. I mean, the analogy would be a lot of modern digital modelling amps, which are sort of designed to sound like that. They're designed to sound like what happens
Like a recorder.
after the whole process, which is why they sound so together and pleasant, compared to an absolutely barking mad 100-watt Marshall.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
yeah, I would agree. I would agree entirely, because if you've played a UA Lion or something, or a really nice Scuffum amps plug-in or something that emulates that sound, and that's your experience of it, when you actually do stand next to a plexi and two 4x12 cabs, it is actually physically scary. Don't mean just standing there, I mean hitting that first note.
Yep. It's Marty McFly.
It is.
It's like glint, bang. Yeah.
And we see it, we don't do that here on Experience Days, but we do play loud. And there's people that come to the doors who maybe don't get the chance to play loud very often, or indeed have never played loud. And it's, you watch them and they're like, oh wow, I hadn't quite realised it was like that. In a good way generally, but it is pretty scary. I mean, I still get a bloody crank that thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's so many different points when you just turn it up. It just, this is the volume control on that. It's just a glorious meter.
Yeah.
Gloriousness. Gloriousness is now on 7.
I do love it. I love it in it how it is now, though. You'll be able to hear this in the Warren Haynes episode, and then we're going to follow up the lovely people at Overdrive Guitars, who it belongs to at the moment, are also going to lend us a 67 Black Flag Super Bass, which is like, it's the holy grail.
What was the amp?
They would have been later 68s, I guess.
Okay.
Super leads.
Right.
And I don't know that. I'm just guessing.
I saw a live clip of him playing the full guitar with the 3 of them. Man alive. He was, I mean, Clapton's great. He was so good.
In Cream.
He was so
It's easily my
so
favourite
good.
period of his. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. And Ginger Baker.
Yeah, man.
What he was
All
doing
of them.
was so flippin' musical.
All of them.
The drum arrangement on that tune is perfection.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All of them. What an amazing trio.
Yeah.
We're talking about Cream, if you're not following. Sorry. Yeah, man.
Backer says, Dan, when your songs see the light of day, where will we be able to indulge? So we're actually going to have CDs printed that you can buy from TPS. I would love to hear your opinions on where you guys...
You've just got it. It's got to go on Apple Music. It's got to go on Spotify, isn't it?
Apple Music and Spotify.
Has to.
Okay.
And probably Spotify. Much as that hurts me to my very core to say it.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, Book of Vac and Guthrie Trapp chose not to put their record on any streaming services.
Right.
And I read quite a curt reply actually from Guthrie Trapp to someone in a comment saying, it's physical only, that's how we make our money.
Mm.
And I get that. I totally get it, but it feels a bit out of step at this point, doesn't it?
I don't know.
With due respect, guys. The way I consume music, and I appreciate I'm not typical. For example, when an album comes out that I really want, like Revealer by Madison Cunningham, like Southeastern by Jason Isbell, whatever, something new that comes out by an artist I love, I stream it.
And if you like it, you'll buy it?
No. I stream it, I buy the digital download, and I buy the vinyl.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, but you wouldn't buy it if you didn't like it. If you heard it and went, no, not for me. You don't stream something going, no, this is rubbish, but I'm still going to pay money for the vinyl and download.
It depends who it is. Actually, no, I wouldn't. I would typically have done that with all, like when the new John Mayer record
if you're a fan of
comes
someone,
out,
absolutely.
I would, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But I didn't for Sob Rock.
Yeah.
I listened to it and I genuinely thought he'd had
Yeah.
some sort of
No,
episode.
Why you no love me? Now, I just think for this thing, because it's funny, I've written a few things since I finished doing this, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them, because this process has been so laborious.
I need to correct myself. David F., you are right. It is downloadable. I think via Bandcamp, is it maybe?
Right.
Or some other service.
Okay.
It's not available on the main streaming services. You are right, David. My apologies.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
Dan.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm so out of that stuff. Definitely we'll get CDs done. We'll get 1,000 and no more. And it'll just be nice to have had it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to work out a time with Paul Stacey now to go and get it mixed. But it's all recorded. And I'm pleased with it.
George Scully says the Sunshine of Your Love amp was an EL34 67 Super 100, or possibly one of the very first Super Leads.
Wow.
Get in.
What a sound.
Get in.
Have you ever played with the two
2 412s?
Yeah.
At a gig?
Yeah.
No.
We have to.
Not a whole gig.
Surely we have to do that at some point.
Not a whole gig.
Two of those on stage. Surely we have to make that happen at some point.
Yeah, man. Tell you what's interesting. So Jake and I were messing around with the super bass last week. We had it through our 412. That 412,
Yeah.
the Zilla. Our 412 is AX greenbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Greenbacks, and it's just too much for the greenbacks. Just knocks them into ugly distortion too quickly for my liking.
Mm-hmm.
The Zilla cab, which has got two vintage 30s and two Jensen 100 watt something or others, which sound very nice. Sounds good into that. The loudest it sounded was through my two Zilla 112s with the WGS 12Ls.
Yeah.
And it's also running at 4 ohms.
Yep.
And it was brutal through two 112s compared to quite palatable through a Marshall 412.
Well, I reckon. So physics, right? You make it an 8x12. That amp has got to drive 8 speakers.
Alternative facts, Dan.
Alternative facts. Sorry. That's got to drive 8 speakers. So the amp's going to be working harder. So I think it'll actually overdrive. I mean, obviously, it's going to sound monstrous. I'm not suggesting that it's going to be quiet, but it's got to drive 8, massive speakers.
Yeah.
There was a Richie Kotzen was doing a gig and he had a Marshall and 2 4x12s, and it just looks so cool.
It looks so cool.
It's so cool.
Paul was saying the reason there's 2 412s is because the amp's overdriving one cab too much. So one of the reasons they used, obviously they needed the sound. There weren't huge PAs in those days, so it was there for the sound. But that apparently, if you have 2 412s, which we did as well, by the way, that was the clip that went out on Insta, the Zilla and the Marshall, then it was overdriving much less in the greenbacks.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
So, I don't know. Welcome to That Pedal Show, where we still talk about 4x12 cabs and the possibility of using two of them. Yeah.
So we would have 16 speakers on stage just between the two of us. God, can we make that happen, please?
Yeah. Chris Gwynn says Clapton's tone on Sleepy Time is his best. For me, is his best even I've Beano for me. Thank you, Tom Dowd. Warren, who we're going to be talking to tomorrow, has worked with Tom Dowd as well. Which is
wow.
Pretty cool.
Is that how he played it? Was it just bar chords like that?
The riff is, I think, maybe guitar and bass in unison, is it? And the guitar plays an upper register somewhere.
Right. There's definitely that
when the singing comes in.
Right.
When the singing comes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
that sound, man.
The opening riff would be that note there, I think.
Right there. Right.
Down.
Oh, down there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the bass doubles it. I think. Could be wrong. And then the sync comes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Clapton was, obviously he got it predominantly from B.B. King, but he was a master of that major minor thing.
Yeah, right.
Where, if you think about the solo from that, it bends all the way up. It starts on the minor pencil, like, and then and then he goes all the way up through the major. No, we're still on the 1.
Okay.
So maybe the 4 then.
Oh.
Anyway, I can't exactly remember. Something like, Yeah, but that where he, you know,
Yeah.
because most of us, if we mess around with that major, I mean, blues is all about the tension between the major and the minor third,
Yep.
right? And it's all about going between the two. But when we learn, we can get it so wrong. You know, if you play a... Oh, but Clapton was doing it all the time.
Yeah.
Think about Strange Brew.
Nice.
The constant tension.
Very
He
nice.
was the master at it.
Yeah.
He was the master at it. Anyway, we digress. Surprise, surprise. Final question tonight will come from Coop's covers. Coop's covers. Hello, Coop. Could be Co-op's covers, of course. Anyway, we'll say Coop's covers. Will you guys ever feature PV amps?
I was thinking about that the other day, doing a thing on PV, because it's such an important brand in the history of music. I don't know anyone that hasn't had a PV amp at some point. And even just the PV Rage, the little, you know. But they made some astonishing amplifiers. And there was a period when Leonard Skinner were all using PV amps. They had great valves.
Just massive, wasn't it?
It was huge.
My favourite thing about PV is all the reworkings of the logo.
And they ended up back at the...
I see one the other day, it said PP.
But they made... So, I don't know if you remember these, but they made drums. And they had the most innovative design for a drum kit I've ever seen. There were no... You know how on the shell, you've got to drill into the...
Nice skins.
Well, there was no drilling into the shell. It all happened on the outside, but the shells were just... nothing drilled onto the shells themselves. They looked like a knitting spool, like a cotton spool. It was weird. They were thin in the middle and they went out. It's really weird.
And did that caught on presumably and became successful?
No.
Oh right, that's
Completely.
unusual.
No, I've only ever... I saw them once at that drum show, and this drummer, this was the gig that Meatloaf was the compere for, where we got to meet Meatloaf.
Ah.
And there was this drummer doing this clinic, and he was a really famous session drummer. And he was showing us these drums, and they sounded amazing. And also, and that was around 94, and PV also had the first time I'd ever seen a solderless patch cable.
Oh wow.
So PV as a company did some extraordinary things that so many of us never heard about. I would love to interview Mr. PV.
And with great respect to Mr. PV, I assume he's still around, is he?
I have no idea. But yeah, for anyone from PV listening, I would love to do that. I think it'd be an amazing story.
He is. We're pleased to say Hartley PV is still around.
Great.
I have met him a few times actually at NAMM shows and things like that.
Right.
He's 82. Wow. Okay, so maybe we will. Coop's covers, maybe we will.
Yeah.
Dan's right though, phenomenally important brand.
Really important.
There's the whole guitar story as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
The
And Wolfgang
T60s, before all of that.
Yep.
The 70s ones.
Yeah, they really
Or they might
pushed
have
it.
Might have been 80s, but anyway. Okay, that's us. We have completed the Super Chais. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We appreciate your being here. Let's just see what's happening in the chat.
Scott Gaylor has sent a picture. I'm hoping it's you with an SG, Scott. Let's see.
Todd Roy says they look like plastic buckets, those drums, apparently. I did Google it.
Ah, no, it's not. But I'm assuming that's your rig, Scott. Check it out.
Oh my god! Really? Are they on right? Are they on?
Come
Are they
on.
on cases, or is that 212s underneath?
There's 212s. Oh, that's 212s. Look, there's the whole thing. Come on,
No,
is
sorry,
that-
go back. What are they cases or are they 212s?
No, so he had 4. No, that's look.
Oh, that's amazing.
Isn't that great?
That says EV on those cabs, on those
On
speakers,
those ones.
doesn't it? Or no, it's just the
No, it's just
way the lights go.
yeah.
Flipping aluminium dust caps though.
Yeah,
Good on you, Scott.
lovely.
Good on you. Good on you.
Still want to hear you playing SG, mate.
Simon Williams says, I've got a Delta Blues, which is still my gigging amp. You can borrow it if you want. We should, because they did a 15-inch version of that. There was a 210, I believe, and a 15.
15.
It was one of
15
the. It
is
was
amazing.
one of the only kind of. I was going to say cost-effective. One of the attainable 15-inch amp you could get. Mark Spurgeon says, "Did you get the JHS hard drive?" We did. Still not quite sure what it does, but we do have it. Good. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. We are going to go out for dinner with Warren Haynes, which is pretty cool.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Wicked.
I did tell you this yesterday.
No, you didn't. You said it's coming in the morning.
No. I sent you very specific. I could show you to you if you like.
Well, I don't read anything.
Yeah. Good. Right. Big love, everyone. Thanks for being here. This Friday show will hopefully be Steve Rothery.
Oh, wicked. That was so much fun.
If I can get it edited in time, and I hope I can. I'm trying to make a visual gag, but I don't have what I need. It was going to be for sunshine of my gloves. I've heard worse versions. That's what jazz would do to it.
What year was the full guitar? Do we know? It's got to be close.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see.
61, I want to say.
Okay.
Todd Rundgren bought it, didn't he?
Yes. There's a great picture of Todd Rundgren's. It's a 64.
Of course it's a 64.
Yeah. Man, that thing sounds awesome.
How good does it sound now, Dan? To quote Chet
Very
Atkins.
good.
To slightly misquote Chet Atkins, to be fair. Anyway, all right, everyone. Play us out, Dan.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Boom, 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 boom.